basics. I must acknowledge the help of Dr. Abhishek Singh, who is my fellow consultant urologist at MQH. He has lent me a few slides which will be shown in the course of this presentation. Let's start with a few interesting snippets. How does open and laparoscopic surgery differ? This is the question that many people ask. So in open surgery, we have got high degree of freedom. The surgeon works in the line of visual axis. The surgeon has got a three-dimensional direct view. He has got a direct tactile feedback. So if he doesn't see, he feels it and then he does the job. Actually, exactly everything is opposite in laparoscopy. In laparoscopy, the surgeon has got a 2D vision. There is a loss of depth perception to some extent. There is a Fulcrum effect with tremor enhancement. At least there is a tremor, even certain physiological tremors are tend to be enhanced in a laparoscopic milieu. The view is not under the control of the surgeon, but it is actually under the control of the assistant. So this brings out a certain subtle personality differences which are there in an open robotic or a lap surgeon. The open surgeons, as we all know, is known to be a macro man. He is fast and furious. He considers hand is as good as the eye. He always thinks that dissection precedes hemostasis and ergonomics is optional. But the laparoscopic surgeon will agree has to be a gentle giant. He has to be slow and steady. He has to stop when he cannot see. He should always believe that hemostasis precedes dissection. If he doesn't see, he will not be able to do anything. And that's the reason why we have got this talk for ergonomics, wherein ergonomics is absolutely vital if you want to do any laparoscopic procedure. So why discuss ergonomics? Just plainly putting it, ergon means work and nomos means natural laws of arrangement. So it is the way in which you design your working environment to fit the worker. That's what ergonomics means. So it is a balancing act between 2D perception and 3D perception, a fast surgeon and a slow surgeon. I'll be talking about these 4 aspects of ergonomics, each divided into 2 minutes each. Something about OR setup, something about surgeon's ergonomics, port placements, and instrumentation. Ergonomics is very important because if you properly align your working environment in laparoscopy, you reduce the suturing time, and this decreases certain pressure-related problems such as chronic pain and associated problems for the surgeon. As far as the OR setup goes, this should be the ideal ergonomic OR setup for any laparoscopic OR. The surgeon's operating field and the monitor should be in the same line as you can see here. The surgeon should be optically correct. I'll talk something about this in the next 2 or 3 minutes. As you can see, the whole arrangement should be placed in a single compartment arranged one above the other. As you can see here, the insufflator is there on the same rack as the monitor, as well as the electrosurgical units are there on the same monitor. The light source is there on the same monitor. As far as possible, if you can afford, definitely you should have an modular OR in which all lines are secure and tangle free. Preferably the monitors and other equipment should be roof mounted with a boom. This avoids clutter and cluttering of the wire and the instruments. Ideally, whenever you have got an assistant, it's better to have 2 monitors, 1 monitor on the either side. What about the positioning of the surgeon and assistant? Whenever you are doing a left-sided case, it's always better that the assistant is at the head end of the surgeon near the anesthetist, and then you have got ergonomically properly positioned laparoscopic trays so that you can deploy as well as place the laparoscopic instruments whenever and wherever you want. This would be one of the most unorganic way in which you place the whole rack whenever you are doing, when you start doing an procedure. What about the drapes and pockets? The drapes should be placed in such a way that you can put the drapes the way you, put the instruments the way you want to and whenever you want to. It's always a good idea that you should have separate pockets for electrosurgical equipments and instruments and sharps. They should be placed in different drapes. And you should ensure that the drapes are positioned in such a way that the deployment of instruments is not hampered. Coming to the next thing is that who sits and who stands. The basis is that this should avoid clashing and overcrowding of the instruments and the operating hands. So it depends on the height of the surgeon. If the surgeon is very tall and the assistant is short, it's always a good idea that one sits down and the other stands. What about the assistant? You can understand that all of us have done laparoscopic surgery. If the assistant is positioned in this way, many a times he has got problems with mirror imaging and parallax. So it's a good idea to always place your assistant on the same side as you are standing. There is a problem regarding darkness. particularly when we switch off or turn down the lights when you are doing laparoscopic surgery. So you have to always remember of placing the wrong instruments or lifting up the wrong instruments in this dark environment with collision hazards. Coming or going a little bit further regarding the positioning of the surgeon, what should be the ideal posture of the surgeon? So the factors that include are the height of the operating table, the position of the visual display, the position of the foot pedal, port placement, and instruments. Foot pedal position, to look at it would be a very trivial point, but it is very important. Poorly positioned foot pedals demand awkward and unnatural positioning of the surgeon. So pedals should be placed in the same alignment in which the direction of the instrument should be. A pedal with a built-in footrest is always preferred. And if there are two pedals, always have a foot lamp at the foot end of your near your feet, so that you can identify that which pedal you are pressing on. Ideally, this should be the position for a laparoscopic surgeon. The visual angle should be 15 to 30 degree down. The instruments at the elbow level of the surgeon. So obviously, condition A would be the preferable position. Like you can see here, the surgeon is standing straight. You can see, as contrast to condition B, there is no shrugging of the shoulders. The patient is at the waist level of the surgeon. The arms are pronated, as well as a little bit, you can say, extended. So just to summarize, it is a straight head, shoulders relaxed, arms along the side, elbows bent to 70 to 90 degrees, forearms in a horizontal, slightly descending axis, waistline table, gaze down, and straight line principle. This would be the ideal position for any laparoscopic surgeon. What happens if you do not follow this? It's very obvious that if you see the gentleman on the right side, if you have an habit of standing like this, over an experience of 15 to 20 years, you are bound to have carpal tunnel syndromes, eye strains, cervical spondylosis, thenar neuropathy, etc., so on and so forth. So I was just mentioning the height of the operating table. A very important formula would be 0.49 into the height of the surgeon. So my height is 167 centimeters. So as I'm 167 centimeters, 0.49 into 167 centimeters is 81 centimeters. So that should be the height of my operating table from the ground whenever I'm operating. So if you want to buy an laparoscopic operating table, then it's always a good idea that the table should have a capability to reach up to 24 centimeters from the ground, so that your hands are at the waist level of the surgeon. Always follow this principle of eye, target, and center of monitor. So in laparoscopic urology, it would be the eye, it would be the target, and this would be the monitor, and it should be gaze down. So this should be the position to avoid any ergonomic problems in your long career. What should be the distance of the monitor from your eye? A very simple formula: 5 multiplied by the diagonal length of the monitor. Suppose you have got a 32-inch monitor, so it is 32-inch into 5. That should be the distance from your macula to have maximum acuity and color perception. Coming to the port placements, before I stop this presentation, we have to remember 3 important angles: manipulation angle, azimuth angle, and the elevation angle. While following these principles, the principles of triangulation, we all know that the target organ should be 15 to 20 centimeters from the target, with a distance of 5 to 7 centimeters from each other, and try to avoid something which is called as the sectorization. If you see here, the target organ is here and the camera is in the center. But whenever a sectorization happens, you see that the target organ is over here, and then actually the viewing port is on one side. So this becomes very difficult when your camera is on one side, for particularly a novice surgeon to start operating. So avoid sectorization and believe in triangulation whenever you are a novice. Coming to the manipulation angles and the azimuth angle, just to make it very simple, the azimuth angle is the angle between the red line and any of the working ports. So this would be the angle which is called as the azimuth angle. This should be less than 30 anytime. And the manipulation angle is the angle in between the 2 blue lines. This should be always 60 to 75. Imagine that this angle is 95 or 90. What will happen to your shoulders? Or imagine that this angle is, say, 60. What will happen? You will have to extend your shoulders. So that is very important that you follow the azimuth angle and the manipulation angle. Do not try to operate with something like this, wherein you are shrugging your shoulders and operating. Coming to the last part, that is the fulcrum effect. We can go back to our physics lessons during our school days. We have been taught that there are 3 types of lever, and we should always aim that the laparoscopic instrument should be a type 1 lever. Means what? If I can show here that the that the peritoneum should be in the center, or the port should be the center, and equal amount of instrument should be inside the abdomen, and equal amount of instrument should be outside the abdomen. So that is the reason why I say that always a laparoscopic instrument should be a type 1 lever. And that is the reason that whenever you do a pediatric laparoscopy, try to use pediatric instruments so that they behave like a type 1 lever. So to summarize, the instrument should behave like a type 1 lever. Telescope should always be in the middle of the working instruments to avoid sectorization. Have a manipulation angle of 60 degrees. Do not have an elevation angle of more than 60 degrees. Always maintain the port position between 5 and 7.5 centimeters between each other. And I would say the most important thing is the azimuth angle. And I'm sure that when you are going to talk about donor nephrectomy and all those things, Dr. Prem Gawali and others are going to talk something about the azimuth angle as well. So my bottom line would be, as in cricket, because cricket is a religion in India, that's why I gave this particular simile, that as in cricket, in laparoscopy, the stance of the surgeon is important to achieve good results with minimum injury in the long run. Be always in the habit to be coaxially aligned. Always believe that instruments, the laparoscopic instrument, should behave like a type 1 lever. The OT table should be half the surgeon's height in centimeters. Like this, my height is 167 centimeters. The height should go up to 81 centimeters. Keep the distance of the monitor from the surgeon 5 times the diagonal length of the monitor. And finally, I believe that port positioning will make or break your efforts in laparoscopy. Thank you very much.
Arvind sir, thank you very much. In fact, when it came to the talk, actually Dr. Arvind is a robotic surgeon also. He operates robotic pediatric also. Very few centers in the world operates. But still he selected this talk because he said that a lot of juniors will be watching. That will be useful. Otherwise, he might have selected any rare surgery and shown here. The great simplicity, sir. We have to learn a lot of things from you. Thank you for good presentation. I want to ask only one question. Sometimes your thumb pains a lot when you operate more than 3 hours. Do you recommend normal movements of the needle holder or any instrument with thumb inserted in the jaw or not? What is your recommendation?
First
For example, you are doing radical prostatectomy, radical cystectomy, some long surgeries.
First of all, I personally do not put in my thumb in the thumb grip. I would always like to hold it as if I'm grasping that instrument. That is point number one. And you being, and all of us are excellent and experienced surgeons, so you'll always, you'll agree with me that whenever there is a novice surgeon, he has got a tendency to grip an instrument very tightly. As you become more and more experienced, automatically you get that particular feeling that you should start holding the instrument lightly. So that is actually the thing which will decrease the tremors, and that will decrease these unergonomic habit-related injuries in the long run.
And second quick question, when you are standing for a long time, do you take a break for your knee joint locking on the right side, particularly right-handed surgeon? If you see after 2 hours, it locks and you get little bit of pain. Do you recommend in between some exercises for the leg?
Actually, we don't do it, but again, it comes to the same thing. As you become an expert, you actually get acclimatized to the whole thing, and it becomes sort of intuitive.
Okay.